Hi, my name is John, and this is Chapter 4, Section 9 of Pearson. It's called Quadratic Systems. And basically, what we're going to do is, since it's quadratic in nature, that means we're probably going to solve systems of equations. Sometimes some books call it systems of equations. Okay. Anyway, so here's a parabola right here. And here's another line right here. You notice that this parabola does not cross with this line, so there are no solution. If you have a parabola that crosses just once, which is called the tangent, right there, then there'll be one solution. And of course, if it crosses twice, here and here, there are two solutions. Okay, so let's try to see example of how to solve this out, okay? Here's example number 1. And they give you y is equal to negative x squared plus 5x plus 6. And you also have y is equal to x plus 6. Now, there are two ways to solve systems here. One of the ways is using substitution. So substitution is method 1, and linear combination is method 2. NEAR combination. Linear combination means basically you want to get rid of one of the variables, but you'll do this a little bit later on, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to set, since y equals x plus 6, I'm going to substitute this in for my y right over there. So substituting that in there, I get x plus 6 is equal to, on the first equation, negative x squared plus 5x plus 6. Since it's quadratic in nature, I'm going to set everything equal to 0 if I can, move everything to the left side, add x squared, subtract 5x, subtract 6. So let's add x squared, you get x squared. You see how the inverse operation is negative x is adding x squared. I'm going to subtract 5x, plus x is negative 4x, subtract 6 to both sides, and then you end up with 0 equals 0 on the right side. I don't really care about that 0 right there. How do I solve this out? Notice that there's no constant term, so I'm going to factor out an x right there, and then get x minus 4 equals 0. That means if you distribute this out, you get x squared minus 4x, and that's what we should get. Make sure you factor, distribute, and so you can go back and forth on these, okay? And using ZPP, zero product property, each factor is equal to 0. X minus 4 equals 0. So here's your solution on one of them, and x equals 4 on the other solution. So these are your two solutions. We're not quite finished yet. You want to plug it into this equation right here or this equation right there. It really doesn't matter which one do you want to plug in. Do you want to plug into the top or the bottom equation? Well, obviously, most people choose the bottom. So at 0, that's the first 0 here, my y value. So I'm going to use 0 right here for this 0 right there. Plug in 0 plus 6, you end up with 6. Again, if you plug in 4, I'm going to use 4 red pen right there for that 4. I plug it into this equation. 4 plus 6 is 10. And these are your solutions. These are coordinates of points. So I'm going to do this on my calculator, show you how that works, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the y equals button right there. You notice I put in the first equation for you, negative x squared plus 5x plus 6. There it is right there. There's the first equation. Okay, right there. I'm going to use the down arrow key to get to my second equation, which is y equals x plus 6. Here's my x plus 6. Press enter. On my window, I set the window to the window in the book for problem number 1, which is on page 259. So looking at the window, you notice that it's negative 4 in the x direction and up to positive 12. I think they have it up to 10, but I put up to 12. And then y min is from negative 2 all the way up to 14. So negative 2 all the way up to positive 14. Whoops. And then I'm just going to graph that, see what it looks like. So there's the upside down parabola. I know it's upside down because of this negative right there. It makes it upside down, right? To find this point right here, or this point, what I do is I go to the calculate button, which is the second, and then calculate. I'm trying to find the intersection. So press number 5, or you can scroll down to it. And then you want to go to the left side of the top equation, press enter. Go to the right side of the second equation, which is the linear equation, the line, and press enter. And so it's going to calculate a point which is between those two where they intersect. And so you can just plug it in and you say, oh, the x value is 4 and my y value is 10. 4, I just want to make sure it's 4 comma 10, right? Can you see that? Which corresponds to this point right there. You should be able to find the corner of that point just visually, but you should be able to do it with your calculator as well. Don't forget second and then calculate. That's where you get to the intersection. Let's get problem number 2. You do the same process as well. Oh, by the way, another way you can check your answer is if you plug in 0 in here to the first equation, you get 0 squared, which is 0, plus 5 times 0, which is 0, plus 6. So when you plug in 0 into your top equation, you should end up with 6 as well. So I checked my work right there. Make sure you kind of check your work with one of these, and you can also check it with the calculator if your teacher lets you use the calculator on your exams. Okay. I am not going to be doing example number 2 for you, kind of like example number 1. Let's do problem number 3. Example number 3. Okay. So what does example number 3 look like? You have y is equal to negative x squared minus x plus 12. You have y is equal to x squared plus 7x plus 12 again. And we're going to use the same substitution method again. So we're going to substitute this into my y value because they're going to be equal for the y values. So you end up with x squared plus 7x plus 12 is equal to negative x squared minus x plus 12. At this stage, we have a quadratic equation again, so we're going to move everything to the left. What's the inverse operation of subtracting x squared? It's going to be adding x squared. Cancel those out. What's the inverse operation of subtracting x? We're going to add x. And of course, subtract 12, inverse operation, subtract 12. Put the equal sign down so that you know where the equal sign is. On the right hand side, you should end up with 0. All that for nothing. X squared plus x squared is 2x squared. 7x plus x is plus 8x. 12 plus 12 minus 12 is 0. I don't need anything there. And so I end up with the same type of equation. I'm going to simplify this a little bit more before we actually work with it. I'm going to divide by 2 to the left and to the right. So you end up with the 2's cancel. X squared plus 8x over 2, it cancels to 4 over 1, which is 4x equals 0. Well, how do we solve this at this stage? There's no constant term, so we're just going to factor out an x. You end up with x plus 4 equals 0. Distribute that, you get x squared plus 4x, right? And then what do? You set each factor, we zip it out, 0 product property. X equals 0 is one of your answer. X plus 4 equals 0 is another answer. And so you end up with x equals negative 4 in this one. Don't forget, we're going to have to plug it back in. When you plug it back in, it doesn't matter which equation that you put it into, you should get the same answer, right? So you end up with 0, comma, and I'm going to highlight that with this 0 right there. Plug in 0 squared plus 7 times 0 plus 12. And what should you get? Thinking about it, you should end up with 12, right? This one's a little bit more tricky. You end up with -4, comma, and I'm going to plug it into this equation right there. -4 squared plus 7 times -4 plus 12. You notice that if it's a negative number, I like to put it in parentheses because it's the whole quantity squared. -4 quantity squared is 16 minus 28 plus 12. 16 plus 12 is 28 minus 28, which is 0. So there it is. All that for nothing. I'm going to use a little different color pen. 0 and 0 right over there. And so there's your answer. 0, comma 12. You could plug into this equation or this equation, doesn't matter. Or for -4, comma 0. So this is actually your solution. As far as shading, which is the inequalities, I'm going to leave that to your teacher. I don't know if your teacher's actually going to make you do those type of problems or not. But anyways, that's the end of chapter 4. Good luck on your exams. Thanks. Bye. Hope you enjoyed the show.